Full Service Radio is proudly supported and hosted by Simplecast, the easiest way for a podcast creator to publish and distribute audio on the internet. For more information, visit simplecast.com. Recorded live from the lobby of the Lion Hotel in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C.
Peace and welcome to the Edible Activist Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa L. Jones, broadcasting live from the lobby of the Lion, D.C. On this show, you hear from the voices of dynamic Black people and people of color in the agriculture, food justice, and healing space as they share empowering food narratives and perspectives that stem from the land, all while exemplifying the spirit of activism in their own edible way. Let's get started. You are tuning into a 4-part series called Mississippi. In my very first episode, I chatted with my grandmother in Jackson, Mississippi, who loves to garden. In this second episode, I interviewed sheep farmer Miss Felicia Bell, who resides in Brandon, Mississippi, and someone who I've had the pleasure of cultivating a relationship with over the past year. Felicia's story is incredible and one filled with farm rejuvenation in the South. Everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live all the way from Brandon, Mississippi today. I'm here at RDS Farm, which many of you guys probably haven't heard of, but you're going to learn more about that today in just a moment. So I have actually been in my birth state of Mississippi for the past couple of days, visiting family for the holidays. Many of you all know that I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. A third of my family lives here, has been living here forever, and I am just very blessed and privileged to honestly be able to see my family every single year and come down here and just share in the glory of our roots, my lineage. And so it's just always a pleasure to be down south. There's nothing like Southern love, y'all. Southern love. So as I mentioned, I am here at RDS Farm, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Miss Felicia Bell, for today. Miss Felicia is a farmer. She's a sheep farmer. She's a business owner, and she has such a unique story. It's a phenomenal story in what she's building and what she's cultivating here in RDS. But if you all have been listening to the last couple of episodes of the show, land has been a significant topic that we've been speaking of. One of the episodes I had actually brought up the article of like the great land robbery. We talked about, land loss and land liberation, and it really is, land has been the foundation of so many things for generations, the good and the bad. The good and the bad. And so today, with Miss Felicia, she has a very unique story about her and her family's relationship to the land, and what they've been able to cultivate even out of a story that may seem dim to others, but the beauty in which is here, which I'll try to post some photos, with Felicia's approval so that you guys can see. But definitely want to share, sit down and just have her share a bit of her story, and then get into the business side of RDS and what she's been doing here at the farm and with her sons, who are also very much part of the business. So welcome, Miss Felicia.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I am so happy to know you. It's such a blessing. And some of you all know Malik Kenny out in Detroit, D-Town. Yes. And Malik, who is a dear friend of mine, introduced me digitally almost, yes. Or just said, hey, you're from Mississippi, right? You gotta meet Felicia, you got to. And when Malik tells you got to do something, you do it, right?
Yes, That is true.
So he gave me your information, and literally last year when I was here, I sent you a note and you said, come on by. And that was the start of our relationship. And I am just so very thankful to know you. And it's just blossomed, into just a wonderful relationship thus far.
Yes.
So awesome.
Well, I'm very, very honored, one, to share our story, but yes, I honor Baba Malik as well, and what he is doing and what he's doing in his area, but just in the country as a whole. Absolutely. How he has shared the story of just Black land loss, but then Black rejuvenation of farming and agriculture. So I follow suit too. When Bob Malik said move, you move.
You move. And if you're ever in Detroit, you got to look up D-Town. D-Town Farms. D-Town Farms. That's right. That's right. I've been a couple times. It's amazing. Yes. So, Felicia, we are going to have you, I'm going to have you just share a bit of your family history when it comes to your family's relationship to the land, and this story of land loss. Yes. But it's not necessarily, again, some people would view that in a bad, and as you should, there's crazy things that happen. I mean, tons of droves of Black families, had, left the South where we are because land was taken away from them. Yes. But you're here, you've been here, you're a Mississippi girl at heart, and it's your grandfather, had land that, he passed down to you and a few other family members. But definitely just want you to just briefly share your story of land loss. And then we're going to bridge forward to land, like, as you call it, rejuvenation, because that's exactly what it is.
It is. So my story really starts with being always in Rankin County for me being born, but my family started in Terry, Mississippi. So the roots of this lineage is Burnett, B-U-R-N-E-T-T. My grandfather's name is R.D., grandmother is Maddie Burnett, so that is the matriarchal and patriarchal of this family in this location. But that Burnett lineage started in Terry, Mississippi, and our history, I really don't know exact if it was my great or great-great-grandfather that moved from Terry, Mississippi to this Brandon, Mississippi area. I don't know that to be exact, but we do know it was a male. It was a male, just don't know which one that moved into this area, and that's what we have today. So long line of people that love the land, live from the land, and that's all I know. Each generation have been born into agriculture, and we're born into agriculture, which I define myself as a traditionalist. So just meaning what has been handed down, the traditional teachings, methodologies, practices. And that's just been within our family. It have sustained each generation. Physical, for us health-wise as well as financial, to be able to take care of generation. And so each generation choose not to necessarily go away from it because they saw it being done well prior. So it's like, okay, we'll just keep going until we see it may need time to make a pivot. But at this time, and my children are fifth generation that we know of, starting with the great-grandfather. Okay. So if it's great-great, it would be six. But right now, I'm starting from great-grandfather because we know he was here, but we just don't know who else. So we haven't changed that methodology of farming. And so that is who we are, what we've always done. When I come along, and I'm a 70s baby, early 70s baby, and so when I come along, we were a sustainable farm, which mean, and you hear that word now, but most of us know self-sufficient, and we ate and grew all of our food. The only thing that I ever saw my grandmother buying was the sugar and the flour, and then they drunk coffee. So
you gotta have that coffee.
That was the staple of the things that I saw her buy.
But everything else was off the land.
Was off the land. So we did wild. So we did hunt, fish, trapped. And then we raised domesticated animals as well as vegetable production. It is nuts here as well as herbs and fruit. So my grandfather, we have all of that. And most people look at, when I say that, they like, oh, that is just so much. But when you're coming from a family that it had to sustain you, you had to have all of that.
You had to have, and it was abundance.
It was abundance, because you can't live on meat alone, or you can't live on vegetable alone. So that's why this land have so much, because it was sustaining families. So that's why everything is here, which I'm grateful for, because I was told by my grandfather, it is to give me a leg up. So I didn't have to plant any of this. I didn't have to do any, and he intentionally did that. So our first capital to start our farm, our DNS farm, was selling pecans.
I was going to say, I was going to put in a little plug. My mother was just like,
Yep.
she was like, does Felicia have any pecans this year? And I texted her, I was like, she don't got none this year.
Nope.
That is, my mom is a pecan fiend. If you know nothing else about my mother, she's a pecan fiend. Yes. But you know what? You said something just very striking. Like, you know, your grandfather gave you that leg up. You know, so you didn't have to plant. It was already abundant.
Yep.
It was here. And that is prosperity.
It is.
On top of prosperity.
I'm blessed.
You are blessed. You are it's beautiful out here. I do just want to track back just for a few moments, because you're, as we, and this is my second time coming out here, and if anyone is familiar, you know, with the reservoir area, and you'll see the large body of water, you know, as you pass through, that water used to be you all's land.
Yes. Yes.
About over 200 acres of it, right?
It is over 200 acres, and it's many residents' land. Because that reservoir, when it began, started in 3 counties.
Okay.
But as erosion, and of course just the current is eating up, so I think we're adding a 4th. When I do the research, people are like, no, it says 4 on wine. But when it began, and when it was being dug out, because it is a man-made reservoir, it started and encompasses 3 counties.
Wow.
So it's vast, it's very big, and so we are a family of many families that land now is underwater.
Wow.
And farmland. Now we're talking about farmland and homesteads. And so yes, our family, it was over 200 acres that is underwater now, that is part of the Ross Burnett Reservoir. And I earlier spelled our name because it is Ross Barn, Barnett. And sometimes people mishap and think we're part of that, or we are the enslaved Africans of that Barnett. So I spell it out.
Okay, I gotcha.
And it could be. I'm not saying it's
not certain.
I just don't know that historical context, but it's spelled differently now from that person that's named the Ross Burnett Reservoir, and our family is just spelled different now.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So don't know if it's relation or not. I don't know that historical context, but I always spell our last name to make sure people know it's a difference.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So this is Melissa L. Jones here with the Edible Activist Podcast, broadcasting live all the way from Brandon, Mississippi at RDS Farms. And I am sitting here with the Miss lovely Felicia Bell, who is a farmer, and she comes from a lineage of farmers. And we just spoke about, her grandfather, passing this land down to her and her other family members, and essentially having that leg up, and maybe there's a better term for it, but that's essentially what it is.
That's
and
what
just
it
to
is.
be on we're 4 acres, about 4 acres of land here where we are now?
It's a 25-acre tract where we are now. Okay. And our portion of it is approximately probably about maybe 5 or 6.
Okay, 5 or 6 acres
on this portion and stuff. But yes, and just it's always been home, as what you spoke of. My mother is the only child that stayed, born and raised in Mississippi and stayed. Other siblings moved off, worked. They were much older than she was, so schooling and work, and then everybody moved back eventually and stuff. Well, not everyone, but majority of her siblings moved back. And so it became homesteads and stuff like that.
It is, and there are homesteads, man.
And which we're grateful for.
Yes.
It started out as farm land and all for my grandfather, and like it was just him, my grandmother, and then my mother, and just that family unit for a very, very long time until her siblings retired and started coming back and stuff. So, but we're very grateful for where we are.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to talk more about the business side of RDS, because you are more than just a farmer. You are a business owner. You and your sons, you set up shop actually, where you feed the community, like your son does these amazing vegan donuts, guys. And it's just really, amazing to see how, you have the land, but you can also leverage it and use it to build other things. Yes. And when we talk about that rejuvenation, like we understand the dark side, or if we don't understand it fully, we know about it. Yes. The years of land loss, and again, Black families being pretty much bamboozled, you name it, bad documentation, bad loans, everything. But there is the positive side.
Always.
Always. The positive side to farming. And what you essentially did, your grandfather gave you this land, and you said, you know what, this land is more than just to have our wonderful sheep roam around, and
Great Pyrenees
dogs, which are beautiful, and I learned so much about them today. So much about them. Yeah. But at heart, like, we've always been business people.
Yes.
Using agriculture, to build businesses, and to make products. And so that's what RDS does. You have your products, you have your kitchen space where you've been doing, cooking up meals, which, by the way, y'all, like the vegan quinoa situation was amazing. I had it last time I was here, okay? But definitely want to talk more about the business side to farming, because that is, sometimes for farmers can be a struggle too. Because some don't really have like the business side. I'm not saying all of them, some of them don't.
You're right.
But it is a business.
Yes.
So just if you want to break down the structure for us of RDS.
Yeah, so you're right. It's not always looked upon as a business, but just I consider all farms businesses because we do a lot.
Yes,
regardless of your size.
That is very true.
It's a business. And so RDNS Farm is basically, I call it Big Mama. She's the I guess I would say the top of the pyramid.
Okay.
That's the first business that incorporates the actual raw products, the farm itself, what we've always done, just the hard work and the nitty gritty of farming falls under RDNS Farm. I pulled out within that, and I said pull out, but adjacent under RDNS Farm, I do consultations, so farm consultations, because I train farmers. I've always done that to continue traditional farming, because we want to share our way, not telling people that their way is wrong, but we just want to give people alternative that you can grow and raise and build your land up without chemicals.
Right.
Because that's just how it's been done here.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I really love the fact that you use the word traditional farming.
Yes.
Because like you said, we can say sustainable farming, which I use those words
Yes.
out of convenience. But what does sustainable mean these days?
Exactly.
You really have to break that down.
Exactly.
And I feel like the word traditional is something that you don't even have to like justify.
No,
you know what
don't.
traditional farming is.
Yes, yes, you do. But I will tell you, a lot of people get it mixed up because a lot of people get traditional and conventional mistaken.
Okay.
So most people think traditional is the chemical base.
It's the chemical base,
and
okay.
No, that's considered conventional.
Yes.
And so
All the way.
traditional, we're talking about thousands and thousands of years
Yes.
of each culture having their way of doing agriculture and feeding themselves and clothing themselves. So this is not something I made up. I'm just living my heritage and my culture that's been handed down from generation to generation. So it's nothing that I'm creating. I just define myself as that because that's the way I live. That is just the way I live. And so, yes, we are that, have been that, like I said, for many, many generations. And so the RDNS farm is that. And then we have Trag Ag Wellness, which is our herbal remedies. Herbal remedies that I also love to assist people with healing themselves.
Yes.
But healing yourself with food. And so Trag Ag Wellness is the herbal remedies. We also do healthy eating on a budget. That is our program and subscription program that we do. I can work with people one-on-one.
That's awesome.
And then the other pinnacle or the other side of that is the Eritah Cookery, which you visited, which is our brick and mortar and soon be in a concession trailer.
I can't wait for that.
I know that, but so we become more mobile. We want to be able to go out in the community versus the community having to come to us.
And that's very important, and especially, is it mainly Jackson, which is the capital of Mississippi, where you set up? And for those who aren't too familiar with the landscape of Jackson, it's first of all, it's always going to be a special place to me because, this is where I was born. But, you hear so many stats about Mississippi in general, honestly, about like the poor eating habits, and the diabetes rate. And I mean, that's real.
It's real.
That is real here. Yeah. So to be mobile and come to a community where, first of all, the poverty level down here is bonkers. It's crazy, but so I think, being at proximity to the community is amazing because they need that. Yeah. We need that. Our community needs that. You need it, right? I need it too, girl.
I want to be with people.
With people,
I want to share. We are to give service, and I just happen to have figured out my destiny.
I know that's right,
so
girl.
I know what I'm supposed to do and be and live as, and so it is sharing. I'm just sharing what I know, and that's all I do. I never ever go into a community, include my own community, to tell someone they're doing wrong. It's not about that. Shaming anyone. It's sharing an alternative. Because one of the things that I've noticed just traveling the country is just lack of knowledge.
Yes.
If you don't know it exists,
then you really don't know. I tell people that all the time. It can be something as simple that you think you should know, and I'm like, listen, if I don't know it, I don't know it. If they don't know it, they don't know it.
Exactly. And my thing is, I'm not gonna keep it. Once I learn it, I'm on a bullhorn.
Right.
So that's just the way I live. That I'm gonna share what I've learned, because it will help somebody.
Absolutely.
And I don't have a number. It's not, I'm gonna help 1 million people before I leave this world. I don't have a number.
Exactly.
It's just talk, help, build. I do cooking demonstrations. I talk about healthy living and our food systems and stuff. So it's just sharing information and stuff. So those are the 3: RDNS Farm, the Trag Ag Wellness with the actual products, and then the Eritah Cookery, which includes, and I'm gonna move down, keep coming down the pyramid, which includes vegan treats.
That's right.
So vegan treats is founded by my 14-year-old son, that have done the vegan donuts, and will be including on his concession trailer other vegan treats and stuff, because he was raised in this. He knows that we have to eat well to sustain ourselves and be happy and vibrant and live a good life on the notion of our mind and our body being healthy.
Absolutely.
And so he's very adamant about doing good and right when it comes to food and wanting to share that. So he picked up the baked goods and treats that he wants to share with people, because people gonna eat sweets.
They're gonna eat
want
sweets.
you to eat good sweets.
Good sweets, okay?
So that's
and listen,
vegan
I
treats.
say everything in moderation, okay?
Exactly.
And my aunt had that donut the last time we were there, and I had it too. And she ain't no vegan, okay? And she loved it. And then she brought the other vegan donut home to my cousin who is a vegan, and she tore into that vegan donut. Y'all better holla at him.
So please look up my baby.
Yes.
Online, because he has all his social media platforms under Vegan Treats. And his tagline is, if you try his treats, they will be gone.
Hello. Well, we're going to repeat that at the end of the show, so we make sure that people follow Vegan Treats, and also they can follow you as well. So,
So
amazing.
That's definitely him. And then the second little thing that little 14-year-old have done is Exotic Edge. So his first endeavor into the business world was when he was 12, and he wrote a book entitled Bee Bug, Beneficial Insects for Farmers and Gardeners. So he is our farm entomologist, and basically the community's entomologist, because he helped our black farmers understand and be able to identify what are beneficial insects and how they can help them on their farm to lessen, minimize, and hopefully do away with pesticides. So that's his charge and his service to our elders and all our farmers, regardless of their age, but to most of the elder farmers, to kind of get them to relinquish the pesticides he teaches them about, the beneficial insects and stuff. So that is that little boy's claim to fame, and that also is on social media, Exotic Edge. And last but not least, and he was the first, my firstborn, he has Farm Hand Carrier, and what that is basically a gap in the farming industry. So he go in and help our farmers with any type of infrastructure they need done that larger contractors will not do because it's too small of a job. So fencing, drip irrigation, anything structural, structural, down to water, putting in, like I said, a drip irrigation, to mending fences. He have worked with animals, so he knows that. So anything based on farmer need, he's the catch-all. And so his tagline is, we do what you don't want to do.
We do what you don't want to do. There's a lot of us out here, okay? So go find them.
That's his tagline, because he is catching a gap and just helping farmers. And basically his clientele right now are older farmers that just may not be physically able to do those mending of fences anymore and digging water lines and stuff like that. So
you said it earlier. Farming and agriculture is a business, you know, and you can build on top of that, find different services and products, that feeds off of, the land, and, again, helping people build their structures and fence, which is important, as we were just looking at the sheep, though, that fence, somebody had to put that up,
Exactly.
So that is
mending them. People tend to forget nothing lasts forever.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times your fences start wearing out.
Yeah, so you need that maintenance work.
You have to have maintenance work, and that's where a lot of our farmers start failing, because they don't have the bodies, the able bodies to help them mend things and maintenance of their agriculture enterprises and stuff. And so he have always done that as a young boy, and now that he's grown, we just have turned it into business to be able to go around. And I will tell you, he's not just Mississippi, because we help farmers in adjacent states. We've always done that as the RD&S Farm. And so that's all he knows. So he's not limited to the state of Mississippi, y'all. So
all right, you hear that?
Just call him up.
It's just amazing just to see all of that wisdom and that skill set and everything else just to be funneled down.
Yes.
That is, I mean, just to literally, like, you witness it, you know, that is just so amazing. I have a couple more questions for you, Felicia. This has been great. Let me tell you something. Felicia is a whole book, an encyclopedia. I, first of all, don't have enough hours on my recorder to, like, sit here and talk to you all day or all week. That's just how much more I need to come back, okay? There's just so much. There's just really so much. Well, as you know, as I said, you are more than just a farmer. You're a trainer. You're a speaker. You travel. You speak to folks. I am very interested in knowing, like, what are some of the collective efforts that are being done down here in the South with Black farmers, you know, to help maintain their land, or, you know, there may be other things, like what are, and I know there are collective efforts being done all around the world, but definitely interested in what's being done down here in Mississippi and other, like, adjacent states, like we have Alabama right next door, you know, you have Georgia. So, like, how do you all come together, you know, to continue to educate one another, or you educate, because actually when I saw you at the farmer's market the other day, or was it the day before yesterday, you know, there was a gentleman there, Emil, who was just starting, I think he's just starting to sell, but so you do a lot of work with, like, new farmers or those who are just getting into farming, but what are some of those collective efforts that are being done down here in the South as Black farmers?
Yes, so it is always known in the South to have farmer cooperatives. So we always had farmer cooperatives stemming from the Federation of Southern Cooperatives.
Right.
And so we have a statewide organization that's basically just a step down from the Federation, is the Mississippi Association of Cooperatives.
Okay, which
and
I've heard
so
of.
they're the hub for the farmer cooperatives in Mississippi. So we've always had that. Many years we've had farmer cooperatives. So that's one mainstay of creating a cooperative, so we can work together, help one another in that fashion. Other things is learning the new methodologies that are going on, like our CSAs, the community supported agriculture, and that is what's happening at the farmers market that you visited on Wednesday, and that is coming under the Jackson Medical Mall Foundation. They are the go-to for that particular hub that's getting ready to start right there in urban Jackson, for as the farmers market, the basically garden / farm, because it's some of their land mass is a little big, and they're gardening and farming on that for its vegetable production only, and then commercial kitchen. So they have a lot going on with wanting to basically heal that community. So that's another, when you have larger foundations and nonprofits that see the benefit, and then they call on farmers to come in and say, hey, we have this platform for you. Are you willing to step up and come in and work with us? And so that's another thing. And we're grateful for that, because they have the financial resources that most small farmers, we don't have it. And so that's one. Of course, we have farmers markets. That's growing in Mississippi. So farmers market, where, again, platforms. People are creating platforms. So one of our largest farmers market in Jackson is being funded by the Mississippi Department of Agriculture. So you see, as larger entities are giving and providing the platform for farmers in the state, which we didn't see that when I was little. So we're grateful for those platforms, because it gives us an opportunity to sell and share what we're doing with the community and stuff. Because it's very expensive to have a brick and mortar.
Yes.
Or even if it's a farm stand, it still takes money to create that infrastructure. So those are the types of things that are going on right now with pulling us together as farmers, where we're not just out here as one little entity, one little farmer, thinking we're doing it by ourselves.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Felicia, what does land liberation mean to you, if you had to define it? And I know it's so many things. And I asked that question because, again, land has been a significant topic for our conversations, our podcasts, throughout this year. And we did a live podcast event actually on land liberation and just speaking about, what does land mean to you? We had a Black farmer, who came in and really defined what land liberation means to him. And so I'm just curious to just hear all of these, varying definitions, because really it's a personal thing, in my opinion.
Yes.
And someone who, again, this is what out here, like the land is what
It is.
You're a farm baby, a land baby.
Yes, and proud of that.
And proud of it.
Yes.
So much pride. I love that. So in your words, and again, I know it can mean a lot, but if you could just, briefly define, again, what that means to you and your work and to your family, your legacy, what does land liberation mean for you?
Freedom.
I wish I had a tambourine.
And how I define that is able to be you. I am able, because of the strategies that my ancestors put in place of a baby that they didn't know yet, made me be able to live stress-free in the notion. And that's a choice now. We can always create stress, but I want to live a stress-free life. But I wouldn't be able to do it if I had so much to do, to have to take care of my family. And having the land gives me that side of my life is freedom, because I know I can provide the food for them. I know they have areas to play without me being stressed. And just, it's a culmination of many things, but that one word, land liberation, to me is just the freedom to be me. That is,
wow.
Yes, that's how I look at land liberation, because it's very hard for a lot of people in our country and around the world, and I have had the awesome opportunity to work with other farmers in Africa, and I'm very blessed to be able to do that. And that is our goal and legacy of what I want to become once I stopped working for other people, because yes, I still do that as well, but I love it because I'm still training farmers.
Yeah,
that's all I've ever
done.
But the legacy of this farm as well is to become that farm training entity around the world, though, to just help farmers that look like me, that really have not been given the leg up. So now I can help them maneuver what they have to leverage what they have. So you only can take what you have and then leverage that up.
Yeah, work
but
with that.
So many people don't know how to do that. They always thinking small, and I can't. And I'm like, no, you can.
You can, and you will.
And you will, and stuff, because you have. Most people don't have. So if you have the land, you're better off than most people.
Absolutely.
And most of our farmers around the world have the land. So I can work with that. So
I know
the
that's
freedom,
right.
and that's freedom for all of us, no matter where we are on the planet. Having land is freedom. And we may not see it yet, though. That's the thing. We may not see it yet, but it is freedom. And that's why I know my destiny, because I'm just here to kind of tap people and like, you free? Let's figure it out.
Let's figure it out. You got the bases covered.
But don't be stressing. You got this. And then bringing people from looking outwardly for their being and their family foundation and bring it up and needs. It's like, no, let's come back to what you have. It's all just how you look at things. And I just want to be able to help people to swing it back to yourself and utilize what's been put in your heart to do and what you were put on the planet to do. Let's pivot and do that, and your life will change.
Miss Felicia, I felt that in my soul, in my spirit, and I received those words. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, everyone, this is one of many conversations. Like, again, this one of many conversations. I look forward to hearing your words, sharing more of your words, seeing more of your farm space, your land, hearing more about your history, because there's droves of it. You know, I need to sit down and talk with mama.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining me on the show in Mississippi, live from Brandon, Mississippi at RDS Farm, okay? And so before we close out, tell everyone where to find you.
Yes.
And then repeat the Instagram and social media handles for your sons.
Yes.
So that they can follow them as well.
Yeah, so definitely can find us at RDS Farm, D as in dog, S as in Sam, Farm, Farm, and that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all on there, and definitely just follow us and just see what we're doing. And then my son is Vegan Treats, V as in Victor, EGONE Treats, and Exotic Edge, and that's his handles. And then we'll get the oldest boy online soon.
Just hit up Felicia if you have
He's
some
old
questions.
We're old school. So that middle son is gonna have him online soon. So
I know that's
that
right.
will be Farm Hand Carrier. Farm Hand Carrier. Be online soon. So just look to find us, look and see what we're doing. Please talk to us. Converse with us online. We love that. We love sharing and stuff, and we do not mind helping anyone. We have to use technology.
We do.
So don't think that if you're living in another state that I can't help you with your farm. I have done many consultations.
You heard it from
online.
Miss Felicia's mouth, okay?
Yes, done many of those online. So please just look us up and converse with us.
All right. Well, Miss Felicia, thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Peace, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. You can catch today's episode on fullserviceradio.org as well as iTunes and Spotify. Be sure to follow Food Talks in Color, that's just the letter N, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for all updates. Are you an edible activist? Sure you are. Come join me on the show. Just shoot me a DM on the gram or connect with me at foodtalksincolor.com. And if you're interested in sponsoring this podcast, let's connect. Peace and blessings. And remember, in the words of Baba Tariq Adunu, there is no culture without agriculture.